Welcome back to Horn Takes, your Texas football and baseball talk destination. I'm Sean Redfern. It is Friday Eve. We are almost there. We are excited, folks. Short week for us. We're headed down to Austin tomorrow. Friday evenings, we're going to do our Trace Otra games picks for week 11. Got a pretty damn good record going on. We're going to try to keep that going. We checked tape on that Florida offense on Tuesday. We will check tape on the Florida defense today. Hopefully, we do a little bit better job. We told y'all, bear with us. Give us some grace. Give me some grace. And my imaginary producers as well. It's a little more technical. It's a little more complicated. We've added to the process with more complications. So sometimes it doesn't always go exactly the way we want it to do. And honestly, I just don't have any experience doing it. I have 1 day of experience doing it. So hopefully it'll be better today. So we'll check tape on that Florida defense. Before we get started today, though, some quick Jonte Cook news. We just talked about Jonte Cook. I believe it was last week. Yeah, it was during the bye week. We had our Trace Texas topics. Jonte Cook was one of those topics. We talked about how he just wasn't getting to play a lot and how there was some rumors starting to swirl that he might be gone. Well, this morning, big news comes out. Inside Texas breaks it that Jonte Cook is no longer with the team. There are some stories say that it was mutual. Some stories sort of allude to the fact that maybe it's not as mutual. I'm not sure. Even one rumors going around that he was let go. So all the rumors we talked about, when we really didn't talk about the rumors, we didn't get into detail. We just said there was kind of rumors out there last week. Seemed to be some merit to those rumors. Maybe not the details, but certainly the smoke. So Jonte Cook, 5-star wide receiver, no longer with the Texas Longhorns. You never like to see a guy leave, especially a guy that talented. But I'm just not going to get too bent out of shape about quarterbacks or wide receivers. As long as as long as Steve Sarkisian is the head coach at the University of Texas, I'm just not going to do it. I think we're always going to have good talent at the quarterback position. We're always going to have good talent at the wide receiver position, and he's proven, especially with this crop of transfers, that he can go out into the transfer portal, pull elite talent in, and get it to work. So good luck to Jonte Cook. I imagine he ends up. I wouldn't be surprised if he end up at Oregon. He's not going to go anywhere in the SEC more than likely because he doesn't want to have to sit, and that's an SEC rule as far as I know. Check us out on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. If you just like to listen to podcasts, you can find us at Apple, iHeart, Spotify podcasts. You can also log on to horntakespodcast.buzzsprout.com. Find all the episodes of the podcast there as well. Trace Otra games picks week 11. Coming off a 3-0 week last week. We are 26-4 on the season. I think there's some pretty interesting games this week. Let's get into it. Number 2, Georgia. At number 16, Ole Miss. It's a 2:30 p.m. kick on ABC and ESPN Plus. Georgia's a 2.5 point favorite at Ole Miss in Oxford. Georgia's 7-1, 5-1 in the SEC in a 5-way tie currently at the top of the SEC. Or excuse me, it is at the top of the SEC. They're coming off a really close win against Florida. That game was 20-20 with 7.5 minutes to go. And then Florida just inexplicably went into pass mode, started throwing the ball to the wrong people. Ole Miss is 7-2, 3-2 in conference, with kind of an opportunity with a win Saturday to crawl back into that SEC championship and playoff picture. Ole Miss, really highly touted to start the season, kind of went through a pretty rough patch there. They lost to Kentucky, lost to LSU, didn't look good in some other games. They just absolutely went into Fayetteville last weekend and just dropped a bomb on Arkansas. Scored 66 points, I believe. Held Arkansas to, man, it was like nothing points-wise. I mean, it was low scoring for Arkansas. They just absolutely trashed them. So we've been talking a lot. We've been doing a lot of SEC games because I think those are good games to do. There's certainly some of the more big name games every single Saturday. But we've said it a lot. This is kind of like a back to the wall type game for both of these teams. You win this, you're still in the picture. You lose it. In Georgia's case, you would still be in the picture, possibly. In Ole Miss's case, you lose it, you're not in the picture anymore. And you still may not be with a win. Ole Miss leads Georgia in all the major offensive categories. They're sort of a mix between each other statistically on the defensive side of the ball. Ole Miss, one of the best scoring defenses in the country. Really good against the run. I think they're the number one team against the run in the country. I think keys for me in this game, can Ole Miss play a clean game? They're 132nd in the country in penalty yards. They have almost 800 yards of penalties so far in 2024. That is unbelievable. If they can't play a clean game against Georgia, they probably don't have much of a chance to win against Georgia. And I think you flip it around to the Georgia side of the equation. Can they get any sort of run game going? They were able to get the run game going against Texas just enough, I think, to keep Texas a little off balance. But if Ole Miss can shut that down and Georgia gets away from it, then you start letting that pass rush work, and it doesn't have to worry about the run as much. And then I think the third key is, can Ole Miss protect Jackson Dart? Ole Miss giving up 19 sacks this season. Dart's pretty mobile. So that means there's a lot of pressure coming back there on Jackson Dart. And if Georgia can somewhat match what they did against Texas from a pass rush perspective, I don't think Ole Miss has much of a chance in this game. I don't know if playing this game in Oxford is an advantage necessarily for Ole Miss, but it certainly is not a disadvantage. I kind of think this one's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think both offenses are going to kind of struggle to find any sort of consistency early on. I really like that Ole Miss defense to make Georgia one-dimensional, and I think Jackson Dart will make some plays with his legs late in this game. I think Ole Miss upsets Georgia at home 20-17. Number 21, Colorado at Texas Tech. This is a 3 p.m. kick on Fox. Colorado 3.5-point favorite. Colorado sitting at 6-2, 4-1 in the Big 12. They're in a two-way tie for the second spot in the Big 12 right now. Texas Tech 6-3, 4-2 in the Big 12. They're sitting in a two-way tie for third in the Big 12 right now. So I think another one of those back against the wall conference games. Winner stays alive in the Big 12 championship picture. Loser probably not completely out of it, but they'd have to win out and they'd have to get some help. Give credit to that Colorado team. Give credit to that coaching staff, Deion Sanders and his guys. Colorado a lot better team this year than they were last year. So they for sure have a chance to roll into Lubbock this weekend, walk out with a W. No doubt about it. And Texas Tech, though, man, they're just dangerous. We saw them go up to Ames last weekend and beat undefeated Iowa State and just handle that game. Not, it wasn't like some weird thing. They just kind of handled that game. Texas Tech has got to be one of those teams that's just so frustrating to follow and be a huge fan of, because they'll do that. And I don't know if Iowa State's like some great team, but they were undefeated. So you got to be pretty good to be undefeated. And it's not like they've played a bunch of bums. But Tech will go up there and win a game like that and then piss away a game like they did against TCU. It's just got to be hard. Just got to be hard to be a Texas Tech fan. Both these teams like to throw it around. I think the difference offensively for me, Texas Tech can run the ball. And I did not realize they've been doing this well this year. 164 yards a game on the ground. That's pretty damn good. That's not the Texas. That ain't your grandpa's Texas Tech or your dad's or maybe your older uncle. I don't know. I don't know what you consider it. It ain't your Mike Leach Texas Tech for sure. And it's not your Zach Kittle's Texas Tech. I'm starting to wonder if I just looked at that stat wrong or something because that seems insane to me. I'll probably have to check that. But anyway, let's assume it's correct. That's pretty awesome. That makes them way more balanced than Colorado. Colorado cannot run the ball to save their lives. I think both these defenses are just pretty bad. Although I would say Colorado's is improved, and their pass defense is where they've improved. These, to me, for this game, will Colorado even try to run the ball in this game whatsoever? I mean, they usually can't. They're averaging like 82 yards a game on the ground. But Tech is just really bad at stopping the run. So I think if you're Colorado, any success there on the ground kind of makes for an easy win against Tech. Will Texas Tech stick to the run? Kitley, it's Kittles or Kitley, whatever the offensive coordinator is. He sometimes I'll watch him sometimes, and even I'm mad. Like they'll be running the ball down somebody's throat, and then he'll just stop, start chunking it like 6, 7 times in a row, and they get a turnover. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like you just ran the ball smooth down their throat. Why would you ever not do that? So I expect them to start to try to run the ball against Colorado, and like we said, Colorado's not good at stopping the run at all. So if they have success, will he stay with it? And then I think the other key is can Tech get some pressure on Sanders? Colorado, they're probably better this year, but they're still one of the worst teams in the country allowing sacks. They've already allowed 26 sacks in 2024. On the flip side, though, Texas Tech, one of the worst teams in the country at getting to the QB. They only got 11 sacks. So something there's got to bust. Either Colorado will finally figure out how to protect their quarterback, or Texas Tech's going to have like a banner day for this season getting to the quarterback. We always, man, we've been doing this show for what? This is our second year, third year. Is this our third year? Holy shit, this is our third year. Maybe it's not. Anyway, I'll have to figure it out. Second or third year for sure. We've been doing this show a while, and we are always talking about Texas Tech and how they just ruin people's seasons. They got undefeated Iowa State last week. Can they do it 2 weekends in a row? That's the question for me. Lubbock, really, really tough place to play. And I think if this game was at night, I don't think CU would have much of a shot. I would call that for Texas Tech, no doubt about it. But I do give them a shot in this one. But I think Texas Tech's going to build on that momentum. I think they're going to get an upset over Colorado. I just don't think Colorado can protect Shadur Sanders, and I don't think they can stop Texas Tech from running the ball if Texas Tech commits to it. I got Texas Tech 30-27 over Colorado. We'll see. I've got burned a lot by Colorado in these picks, but it is what it is. Number 11 Bama at number 14 LSU, 6:30 p.m. kick on ABC ESPN Plus. Bama is a 3-point favorite. Listen, folks, there is potential for there to be 6 teams tied for second place in the SEC after this weekend. And if you're Bama, you're trying to stay in that 2-loss mob. You're trying to get a win, and you're trying to get in a big group of people that's right below the other group of people you're chasing. It's kind of like bike riding. You get in these little packs. And if you got any intention of trying to win, you can't let one pack get too far ahead of you. I don't think they're called packs, but breakaway groups or something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's what we're talking about here. And then if you're LSU, you're trying to avoid being in that 2-loss mob. LSU wants to stay a 1-loss SEC team. Offensively, Bama has the advantage everywhere in all the major statistical categories except for passing yards. LSU just cannot run the ball that well, so they pass the ball a lot. Defensively, I think, LSU's got a slight edge in rushing defense, but Bama is better on paper everywhere else. Keys to me for this one, Jalen Milroe's versatility. We saw the Texas A&M quarterback Reed come in that LSU game and just absolutely run right over the top of that LSU defense. And then we saw, it doesn't matter what we saw in that game. So can Jalen Milroe be sort of that role for Alabama? He's great with his legs. He's great throwing after he gets away from pressure. I like his versatility. If he can pick up some yards on the ground and be a threat in both the running and the passing game, really like Alabama's shot in this game. Can Bama get pressure on Nussmeier? One thing LSU offensive line does, they cannot run block, but they pass block pretty well. They protect Nuss. But we saw what happened when they didn't against Texas A&M. Nussmeier can chunk it around a little bit and to the wrong people when he's under pressure. And then I think, defensively, or excuse me, offensively for LSU, can they do enough in the running game to keep Bama honest? I think if you sit back there and just try to make this a throw the ball 50, 60, 70 times deal for LSU, you're in bad shape, man. I think, this Alabama team is not the Alabama team we've seen in the past, but they are still very talented and they can still get to your ass and they will still sack you. So I think if you're LSU, you got to try to find a way to keep them a little bit off balance. If this game was not in Death Valley and this game was not at night, I don't think I would even consider picking LSU in this game. But it is in Death Valley, and it is at night. I think this is going to be a close one. I think it's going to be one of those kind of classical, cool, down to the wire SEC games that we love to watch. But I think Bama's defense makes a play late in this game to seal it for Alabama. I think Bama is going to walk out of Death Valley with a victory, 27-24. So there's our Trace Otra games for week 11. We'll come back on the after action review, and maybe we change the name of that. Probably not. We'll come back on the after action review, see how we did, as well as break down some of that Texas game against Florida that's coming up. Let us check tapes of this Florida defense. So I watched a lot of this Florida and Georgia game, and I found the Skycast, and I watched a lot of it. I really like looking at that view. And one of the big things I see right off the bat as I started watching this and watched through it a little bit, I think Texas should be able to take advantage of Florida's defense in the play action game. Watch these few plays I'm about to show you guys and just see how Georgia was able to take advantage of Florida, particularly those Florida linebackers in play action. So you got Florida with a zone look here. The linebacker scrape hard to the fake and bam, right over the middle. There's the dig route. Linebacker couldn't recover quick enough, got out of position, couldn't get back in position, created a lot of space in the middle of the field there for a really easy throw for Carson Beck. Here we'll be in a man look with the nickel and the safety up for Florida. Watch the backers freeze just long enough on this little play action. And then watch the play side backer. He's going to kind of drift with the running back because we see we're in man coverage once this play starts. And watch the big, nice space there is in the middle of the field for Carson Beck. Here comes the play side. There goes the linebacker drifting. The middle of the field is wide open. Carson Beck just makes a really bad throw. That should have been a really big play for Georgia right there. Probably down to the, I don't know, 10, 15-yard line maybe, possibly even a score. just made a bad throw. But that's 2 plays in a row where you see the linebackers really bite hard on play action and get out of position in the middle of the field, just absolutely wide open. This next play, Florida will be like kind of in a 2 deep look. Watch the play side linebacker. He's going to attack the run very, very aggressively. And then Georgia just sort of floods the zone. Watch the tight end on the right side of the formation. He's going to come across the formation. They're going to flood that zone, get an easy completion to the tight end. Here comes the play action. There's the play side backer. I'm going to freeze it right there. So there is right there at the bottom of the screen, there's your play side linebacker all the way in the backfield. He's completely out of the play. What you notice over there is you got 3 Georgia guys on 2 Florida guys. They flooded that zone. The other linebacker didn't get out there, and I don't know whose key that was. I don't know who should have run with the tailback. My inkling is it's the backside linebacker. But look at the touchdown that Carson Beck has if he waits a split second to throw the ball. In this still, the tight end's got the ball in his hands right now. If he just waits another half second, he throws a easy touchdown right into the end zone. But he didn't, so they didn't. But they did get a nice game. We'll let this one play out. Another 2 deep look for Florida here. And I might have been saying for Georgia a few times. I apologize. Another 2 deep look for Florida. Watch the linebackers and the nickel just completely freeze on this play action. I mean, they don't go anywhere. And it creates just enough space in behind the middle of those guys in the middle of that defense for a really easy pitch and catch for big yardage. Look at all that. Look at them just kind of freeze right there and look at all that space. Those 2 safeties back there are going to split. There's going to be a big ass hole in the middle of the field for Carson Beck just to drop the ball off to a wide open guy. So I think if Texas can protect and Texas can do anything in the run game whatsoever just to keep those linebackers honest, and I don't even think they have to do much except just try. I almost think getting stuffed a few times is good because you get those guys even more aggressive. There's going to be opportunities in this game to dump the ball off behind them. Another thing we're going to see out of this Florida defense, and this is something they do pretty well. We'll see those DBs come up and run support. You got a jumbo look here by Georgia. The back is offset to the left, so a really heavy formation to the left side. But watch number 7 for Florida. He just kind of walks up, gets in position, and just sits there, right? And I have to assume that there was something about this formation, something in the call where if they saw this formation, it was just a visual cue for him to play the run and not worry about the pass. They got 3 men to cover 3 men on that side of the field. So they're really playing 4-on-3 over there with skill guys. So he just kind of was free to come make a play. And that's exactly what he did. Comes up, gets his nose in there, makes a nice tackle. I think we could see Sark try to work some games like that at a similar look because Sark likes that 2 tight end look. And again, you get those defensive backs thinking run, 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 and they're having success with it, stopping that run, 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 and then you dump it over the top where they're not at. As I was watching this game and watching the Florida defense, there's several guys that look pretty good to me, but this guy just absolutely jumped off the screen at me. Tyreek Sapp, and I believe that's Warren Sapp's son. He's playing edge on this clip right there on your left side. Watch this really athletic play he makes on a swing pass. He's got all that candy. He's engaging. He runs out and chases down the damn running back and makes a nice play for a short gain. I mean, it was a gain, but you don't see a lot of defensive ends making that type of play. And then I had to get big Desmond Watson. Look at how big this dude is. You want to talk about big humans. Number 69, Ratledge, is a big human for Georgia. Desmond Watson at 6'5", 449 pounds, just absolutely dwarfs this guy. Look at this guy. Look at the running back for Georgia. Now I know why people run from him. That is a big, big man. I had to get that out there. It's not pertinent to the game, but my Lord. I think Texas better be ready for a lot of pressure because I think they're going to see a lot of pressure in this game. It's no secret. It's no secret what Georgia did to Texas. Everybody saw that. Everybody saw how basically, I mean, you saw Georgia do it, and then the next week you saw Vandy do a lot of the same stuff. The only way you can derail that Texas offense is to derail Quinn Ewers. And the only way to derail him is to get a lot of pressure on him. So I think we saw in this game, Florida didn't bring a ton of pressure. I think we'll see this weekend a lot of pressure coming out of them. Here's a 3rd and long. Watch the backers creep up to the line of scrimmage in that mug look there in the middle. Carson Beck's going to send his back on boomerang motion just to see what's going on. There he goes. See the safety move with him, and then he comes back. All that was, hey, let's figure out what kind of coverage these guys are in. See if they'll tip their hand. And I think that Florida safety did just enough to tip it. They're playing man, but they're playing really soft on the right side. I'm not a defensive expert, but I'm pretty sure this is man coverage just with a lot of cushion because it's 3rd and 9. Florida only brings 5, and watch Georgia get the ball out quickly. But look at the look on that front. They've got 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. They did this a few times during this game. They always seem to drop somebody. They didn't always bring everybody. So this linebacker here, he's going to drop out and try to get out there, but it's going to be too late. I mean, that was like his man in man coverage. But they caught him in a formation where he had, like, I mean, I think if you're a defensive coordinator, you would tell your linebacker, hey, go play man coverage. Go play where the man is. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a defensive expert. Let's look at a little red zone defense. Florida, they're expecting the run here on 1st and 10, and they sell out to stop it. You can see there's man coverage on the left, man coverage on the right. You got a safety in the end zone, just barely standing in the end zone. Everybody else, 8 guys right there in the box. I think Sark should look to capitalize on this in the red zone. Get some trickeration going. Confuse that man coverage. Florida gets a nice stop there because they got 8 in the box. They're sold out on the run. Got the same look on this play, 8 in the box. Florida will do a nice job in that man coverage. They'll get some pressure on Beck, get him flushed out of the pocket. And he throws a pretty decent ball, but it's an incompletion. Same exact play to the other side of the field is what that was. So he threw the ball a little bit late, but it wasn't a bad throw. I think the guy could have caught it. It was just a little bit late. This time, Georgia spreads Florida out, but they still go with that man coverage. So I think in the red zone, like down close to the goal line, inside the 10, I think you're going to see Florida in a lot of man coverage. You see the linebacker and the nickelback both creep up on the outside here. And whoever's doesn't have a man, that's who's coming. So everybody's accounted for except for that running back just on alignment. So watch where they all line up. Everybody's set. It's clearly man coverage. He's going in motion. He goes with him. The only thing we don't know is who's got 32, the running back. If the running back goes left, that guy that's on the outside on the edge is going with him. If he goes right for some reason, that guy on the outside that's on the edge is going with him. Whoever he does not run with, whichever direction he doesn't go, the opposite guy is coming. Watch. Real good play here. Lots of good pressure. They're able to jump up and knock the ball down. There's your pressure off the edge. Gets enough on it. That would have probably been a touchdown if they don't fire right there. So there's your red zone. It's going to be a lot of man, and they're not afraid to bring pressure. They're a third down pressure team. Something Florida hasn't done a great job of this year is creating turnovers. But Texas, very turnover prone team so far in SEC play. And Florida found a way to get a couple big ones in the first half against Georgia. This first play, Georgia goes 5 wide. Florida's in a 2 deep look. Watch the Florida defense shift that middle linebacker over towards number 84 right there in the slot. To me, this is the key to this interception. And I'll tell you why. He takes 84 in man coverage almost immediately off the snap. And that leaves Florida in a 3-on-2 situation. You see, they got 3 guys outside the hash right there. That's a safety, a nickelback, and a cornerback, I imagine. Could even be a linebacker. I can't tell the numbers right there. But there's only 2 other Georgia players out there. So it's 3-2 right now. So let's run this a little bit. I'll show you the linebacker. There he goes. There he goes. Snap. He's in man coverage right there on 84s. Let's stop it. I don't know what the route combination on the outside was, but just based off of what it looks like right now, you see a Georgia player at looks like about the 20-yard line, right down the sideline, and then you see the guy on the 40-yard line moving on the out or the curl. It looks like he ran a curl to me. So it looks like to me the outside wide receiver ran a curl, and the inside wide receiver wheeled underneath on that curl and ran up the sideline. In 2 deep, that cornerback's got the shallow zone to his side. If the guy goes vertical, he lets him go because that's the safety's problem. But his zone is covered. Remember, we said there's 3-on-2. That linebacker or nickelback or extra safety, whoever that guy is, right there about the 40-yard line for Florida, he's got that curl covered. So the cornerback just starts settling, starts reading the quarterback's eyes, and he starts settling, just like Andrew Makuba did against Carson Beck in that game against Texas. He didn't have a job. He went and found something to do. That's what the cornerback does on this play. And then Beck tries to fit it into a really tight spot between those 2 zones because of the pressure, and it's an easy interception for Florida. Carson Beck, really good when he has time to just see a read, make a throw. He's a good, accurate passer. He doesn't see the field very well while the play is happening. Here's another one on, I think this was back-to-back drives for Florida. Watch this nickelback to the right side just before the snap. He's going to creep up a little bit, and watch Carson Beck's head. Carson Beck's going to see him creep up a little bit, which would indicate pressure, which would indicate man coverage, right? But once the snap happens, it's not man coverage. Watch Carson Beck after the snap. He's going to look left, thinking he's in man. He's going to try to get the ball out, but he realizes, oh, I'm not in man. It's zone. So he comes back to this dig route on the right side, where the pressure he thought was coming, and he just gets rid of the ball. Watch who gets the interception on this play. So here comes that nickelback. He's going to creep up a little bit. Carson Beck sees him, takes his snap, looks left immediately, comes back to the right side. There's the dig. Guess who just intercepted the pass? The guy that walked up on the line of scrimmage made Carson Beck think it was man coverage, and he was coming. And that's who settled back into the play. Because of the pressure, he had to make a quick decision. He just got rid of the ball based off of what he saw before the snap. So not one, but 2 Florida defenders would have intercepted that pass because they just played that underneath coverage. So to me, they do well at that. They do well confusing the quarterback with a lot of pre-snap stuff, and then they change what happens post-snap. So for Quinn Ewers, really important to see before you throw. It's okay to take a sack. Don't just throw that ball. If it's zone on the left side, probably zone on the right side, and you probably got fooled. Real quick, let's do the 2-minute defense for Georgia just to see or for Florida, just to see what that looks like. You're going to see Florida roll their safeties to the new strength of the offense, indicating some zone coverage pre-snap. And what it ultimately looks like to me is sort of a man under deal with the two safeties over the top. Florida gets a lot of pressure on this play with just 4. They force an incompletion. Watch the backfield. There goes the motion. There's the safeties rolling. It looks like man coverage underneath. They get pressure with 4. Carson Beck has to get rid of the ball. Incomplete pass. 2nd and 10. Here we got Georgia is about to run a running play. They got 4 blocking 4. If you look at what they got there, they got a left guard, a left tackle, a wide receiver, and a tight end. They actually got 5 blocking 4 at the line of scrimmage with a cornerback just kind of sitting off on the edge over there. Notice how far he is off the edge on this play. And Georgia's able to outflank all of that and pick up a nice little gain on 2nd down, make it 3rd and manageable. If that wide receiver is not over there, that cornerback for Georgia or for Florida is going to come up, and he's going to probably force that a little better. Play number 3, you got a man look pre-snap with the safeties up and the linebackers tight to the line of scrimmage. We said they're a 3rd down pressure team. Watch what they do. Once the man coverage on the running back sees that the running back is blocking, he just fires. And all that pressure forces Beck to get rid of the ball quickly. It's batted at the line of scrimmage. It's something we've seen teams do to Texas the last 2 games. Here come the linebackers, except some of them have done it late. Florida doesn't do a great job of disguising it. But that nickelback saw the running back blocking and said, there's a hole, I'm going through it. That's my guy. He's blocking now. I'm running. So this is the same thing Georgia did to Texas. It's the same thing Vandy did to Texas last week. It got 2 deflections for interceptions. So there's just a quick look at the Florida defense, what to expect, some of the different things they do. Here's my final thoughts on this Florida defense. I think they're very athletic. And I think they throw a lot of different much like the offense does a lot of eye candy stuff. This defense does a lot of eye candy stuff. It's all in the secondary. Like I said, I haven't seen them really disguise any blitzes, but their coverages they disguise, and they confuse the hell out of people. It certainly did to Carson Beck. Linebackers, ultra aggressive in the run game, and they are absolutely susceptible to PA pass. I think Steve Sarkisian, I think that'll be a huge part of the game plan for Texas this weekend. When they do decide to get after the quarterback, it's effective, and they can get pressure with 4 guys too. But like I said, not a lot of disguise stuff. But I think they will have that for Texas because Texas has not been good at recognizing it and picking it up. I think if Texas can commit to it, they can make some hay on the ground against this Florida defense. They're not that good. In fact, they're pretty damn bad. And I'm surprised Georgia didn't do more than what they did. We will be back on Friday with 4 keys and a prediction. And we're headed off to Austin, baby. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow. Won't cost you guys a thing, but we sure appreciate the support. You can email me at horntakespodcast@gmail.com with all your questions, comments, concerns, and criticisms. You guys get hooked. Hey, we will be down at the tailgates right behind the stage on Saturday morning. See me, ask me for a koozie. If I have one, I'll give it to you. Come by. I think we're at tent 15 or something like that. Come by, say hello. I like to meet folks. You guys have a good rest of your Thursday. Get hooked.